Hello, and good morning. Alright, so today we have another request, which was to see the team from FF8 fighting against the team from FF10. Now, this may not seem like the fairest thing, given that one of them has 2 more units than the other, but we'll see how this goes. I added one extra one to the FF8 team, even though he's a temporary member, just to kind of make it a little bit more balanced here. So, we have the leader right here, we have Squall. Basically, the way that I did the whole Gunblade thing was different for both characters that use them. So for Squall, the way that he typically used it was just essentially runs up and hits something twice, essentially just cuts with it. Another explosion happens right afterwards, which seems a little bit impractical, but either way, this is the most... what's the term? The look on the guy's face. Okay, he's got the most scorn on his face, right? So went with this one just because A, he could have a revolver in the other hand, so he can still kind of shoot it from a distance. He's got the Shimazai here, so that he can essentially do a double hit with it when he attacks with it. In addition, it also has a Hurricane ability, so we'll just assume he only remembered to leech out one Hurricane or something like that. Got the Dark Coat for his jacket, got the Reaver Ring, because he's got that whole Reaver thing going on. Plus, this, presumably he had some hastes on him. And Scout Leggings just for evasion's sake. So he doesn't have anything else there. He is set up to do all of this kind of stuff, but he is not set up to parry, since apparently he kind of sucks at it. Because the more I think about it, the more he really does not know how to block 90% of the time, which is kind of how he got cut in the face. I was actually tempted to have him be a Swordmaster so that he could use Preempt, but that went to Seifer instead. So he's over here, he's got a sweet trench coat, as he does in the other one. He actually is set to parry. And here we go. So here's his whole setup. For him, I went with Kumbira, because its secondary ability is Shockwave, which essentially works as his secondary shot. Same thing for Dark Coat, because he's also got a coat. He's got sleeves for more crits and a Seal of Evasion, again referencing that intro. Next up, got Pistis. Same thing with the Dark Coat, just because it matches so many of the characters, and it's also just an overall very effective piece of armor, since a lot of them do tend to have variations of the same uniform, the whole seed thing. High boots here, because that's what she has, and then other than that, whips, because of course. Nothing in the magic department really going on there. Yeah, so she's mostly just a runner and hitter. Next we got Renoa here, with dress roots and a Sakri, which is basically in one vision it's a telekinetic projectile type of thing instead of just a book. So before you would just hit them with a book, now it's like a little short range pew pew kind of thing. So I figured that was a good replacement for that. Dang it, I actually mixed this up. This was supposed to be the Biblion Papyrus because it kind of sounds like it has a puppy. Oh well, it's fine. Her book's just a little bit better, you just don't get the puppy pun. So she's got a lobber for throwing things like grenades and whatnot, and yeah, has a charm thing because that seems to be like 50% of her character. Moving on, I got Selfie here as a knight. Seemed the most fitting because they've got one-handed hammers. I figured that was as close as we're actually going to get to the flails, or well, they wind up turning into flails, but the usual nunchucks that she usually has. So this looks closer to one of the ones that I remember her having. Got just a basic Curious here because of the whole yellow thing, same thing with boots. Reaver being given for the sake of using haste, and she also gets a whole bunch of recovery abilities. So a bunch of debuffs, or not debuffs, but debuff removals. Zell here, got his double punches, got his evasive jacket kind of thing, got his blue gloves, and he's made to be a little bit stronger at punching. He's got Mind's Eye for evading physical stuff. He's got a sleep ability right there. And he's got a few random abilities here. So he's the only one that remembered to do his whole extraction ability. So we've got Laguna here. By the way, I would like to say that this party, this is basically more or less what I went into friggin' Endgame with, and part of what ruined me on it my first time through. Because I was completely unaware that it was just going to cut you off entirely, and then you couldn't go back and extract anything else, and it was a whole pain in the neck. Anyway, kind of screwed myself. We've got Laguna here with Rufficale. You may be wondering how the hell is like an SMG. Well, it's basically a sidearm thing that does a little bit of plink damage once and then basically does a second hit that's way stronger. So it's a little burst fire blowgun type thing. He's got the lobber for grenades. Also, this thing has Stone Circle, which basically looks like his grenade ability there. Got the Whale Wizard Coat, which kind of looks like his vest thing. Scout leggings, because, you know, everyone's got those black pants. Seal of Vigor, just to make him a little bit more tanky, because the guy's been through some crap. And, yeah, Draconology and Teratology, because, you know, he's kind of the local monster hunter guy. A few random abilities here. Nothing too special. He starts off fairly basic. Got a Dia here. She doesn't actually have a weapon, because she doesn't come with one. But she is old as crap and superpowered, so she got the Fire Crest. Got a couple of these things here, so she's really good at casting, not so good at anything else. So if anything gets close, she's screwed, but she's a pretty good caster. And again, Sorceress, so even the class matches. Now, this is going to be one that I'm assuming somebody's going to get mad about, but I got Irvine here as a Necromancer. So yes, this game does have guns. Yes, I gave him a crossbow. Yes, he's a sniper with a crossbow. Here's the thing. So, with the recent changes to the Necromancer, this class is something that would make a lot more sense for him. So for one thing, I want him to stay at range, so he was given this right here. The Kalina Ann, which conveniently is the only one that I saw that had a girl's name on it, and, you know, he would be the sort of character to have a gun with a girl's name. But this is one of the ones, right here, with a 14-tile range. It can only fire in one direction, but it's the closest thing the game has to a friggin' sniper rifle. Also, matching coat right here. Also, the sniper's earring happens to be the one for crossbows. And right here, you know, looking through these things, he's got a few abilities here and there, but there's a new kill move. I believe yeah. It technically was a skill before, now it's a kill move. This is a cheap ability that basically allows him to fire that same crossbow diagonally rather than in a straight line like it would normally be limited, which hits Wither. So basically it's, you know, he fires friggin' ghosts out of the thing and reduces the max health of something. I thought that this was really fitting, plus the whole trenchcoat look, plus, you know, then he doesn't look exactly the same as Squall over here. I don't know, I thought it was a pretty good decision. Let me know what you think. And other than that, he's got those abilities. He's got, let's see, got a thing to delete ghosts. He's got a thing for basically doing Pain Aura. So anything that he gets hit by, somebody else gets hit by. Life Drain, a kind of AoE damage move, and an ability to move incapacitated units elsewhere, which I figured was a little bit fitting given the whole rescue thing that happens partway through. Anyway, I thought that those worked out reference-wise. Now, moving on to the next party here. Got the Aurochs. Actually, you know what? Should we... we might end up having two of them anyway. As before, ignore the score difference. It does not matter. Basically, their score is determined by a bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense. Like, base game, I kid you not, their friggin' armor mattered about 2 points. Turning on Fortify raised it by like 300. So... it's a bunch of stuff that A, doesn't exist, and B, does not actually do anything. So, going over this team here, starting off with, screw it, let's go in order this time. So we've got Orin here with two-handers. This is the closest one to what he usually uses. Got an extra overpower rating on it. He's basically built for armor piercing and high damage, not necessarily for speed. I was going to give him the Dragon Slayer, but I don't know. It seemed a little bit off. He's got the cloak and the guards here because he, you know, has his coat and his arm guards. That's what he usually uses. Other than that, he's mostly just a running and hitting sort of guy. He's got challenge because I'm pretty sure that was even one of his abilities in FF10. Preempt to hit stuff first, Steel Stance to guard, Blade Focus for stun. But yeah, he's mostly a running and hitty sort. I believe, yeah, he has Art of War, but he doesn't actually have any of the Art of War abilities. I think I gave it to him, and then I decided against giving him any. I got Yuna here, pretty standard cleric setup, except I have her set up with evasion. She doesn't really have a whole lot as far as offense is concerned, because her summons are over there as the back 4 units. So, there we go. Only thing she's really effective against is zombies, but that doesn't really matter. She's the one that's supposed to be protected anyway. I got Titus here, going with, I know he technically uses swords, but let's be honest, this looks just like the one that he uses. So yeah, got the water sword right here. It's technically a, it's supposed to be an, what's it, a dual-wielding sword, but I looked at this, the luck rating, which is -22. Yeah, I mean, that about sums up the guy's luck, frankly. Other than that, we got the coat right here, got the grease boots because he's supposed to be able to walk around on water. He's also got Wade in his skills because he needs to walk around on water. The water coat right here. And then this because I always used to use him for casting haste. Maybe seeing a running theme of I like to use my my main characters as support ones. He's got a few here to try and come up with the other abilities that he can potentially use, or at least was likely to use. Got some buff abilities in here, he's got a small heal, he's got some fire, lightning, and water in here. And yeah, so I think that covers that pretty well. He's actually got a couple healing abilities. This one is mostly for getting rid of poison. Next we got Waka over here. With these, it's the, I mean, it's 2 balls on a chain. It's the closest thing to a, you know, friggin' ribbed for her pleasure soccer ball that he likes to use. We got Labra over here for grenades, if he decides to use them, Scout Vest and Guards, and then a Grease String, because also he's a swimmer. Rico over here with a Mangouche and Beast Claws. This is basically just a knife that disables stuff. You know, skimpy dress, roots, again, she's one of the swimmers. Kind of an underpowered claw, but, you know, she wasn't there for damage. She's mostly there to use the secondary effects of her items, so this one for disabling units. She's got this one for Tremor Dance here. I've got this one for Charm. Plus she's got her kind of explosion moves as kill moves for the claw. So, you know, we'll have that over time. She's mostly there for debuffs and distraction. Got Kamari here with Thanatos armor. That's pretty much to give him this right here, so that he can use his Lancet ability that he usually has. Keldarn, again, he wasn't a very strong hitter. He was mostly defensive and had his Life Leeching move. Got Scout Leggings for the extra jump bonus, and Vigor so that he can take even more hits, so he's by far the tankiest. I was considering to make him a Lizard Man, but then I would have had to go find a code to rename him, and that would have been a whole pain in the neck, so I didn't quite do that. Usual kind of setup here. Got Lulu over here, who's, again, using a book for the sake of her projectile, and in this case, instead of a stuffed animal, she's got this. She's got the little shield, because she's got her usual little sparkly shield daily, as close as it's gonna get. Also, there's scaled armor pants. That seems about as fitting as that's gonna get. Casting robe, you know, casting ring, all that sort of thing. Slightly better magic-y type stuff. And then we've got her bird dealie. We've got Ifrit over here, got that lightning unicorn, and got that Bahamut thingy. Basically, this thing is all set to just fly around and hit stuff with wind stuff, as it does. This guy is basically there to jump around and explode things with fire, as he does. The lightning thing here was made not to be able to fly, but does get a tail lash, thunder breath, and you know, siege, so he can run forward and hit stuff. And then the one that's supposed to be Bahamut over here does his flying thing, does his tail thing, does his explodey with dark stuff thing. Didn't really have room left over to go and do his breath, but, you know, this is going to be so much better anyway, so I figured between these two there was really no point in giving him breath too. So there we go. I think that about covers it, so let's go ahead and get this crap started. Probably won't be doing as much, actually maybe I should just put one of them little yellow tab dealies to show when the fight itself starts. Now between the two of them, I think this should be fairly evenly matched. Despite the difference in numbers, and I'll explain why in a moment. Okay, your Vanguard, you are... let's make you healer. Your Vanguard. Your Rear Guard, you are... Vanguard. Also Vanguard, you are Caster. and everybody else is melee. Because I figure, you know what? Even though she could only technically have one of these out at a time, for the sake of this thing, we're going to go ahead and ignore that. And so she's going to be able to bring out 4 of them at once and just have them charge forward, because that would be kind of awesome. Any dangways. So I think they're going to be more evenly matched than it looks. Basically, the Seeds team, like I said, I tried to give them as much of their relevant stuff from the relevant games as I could. So the Seeds team, they technically have more human units on there. They have more options for dealing with things. A lot of what they do just tends to be more effective damage-wise and all that. On the Auroch team here, they're kind of just a mix of different things. I mean, that's kind of their whole shtick. They're this pretty much ragtag group aside from Orin. Like, everybody else is just kind of there. I'm like, oh, who did you hire as a bodyguard? Oh, you know, some guy chucking a soccer ball around. I mean, it's kind of amazing that they pulled that off. I should clarify, potentially crazy racist guy with a soccer ball. I was watching this run not too long ago that somebody was going and pointing out all the times he says a bunch of stuff that's super questionable. It was pretty hilarious, because it was basically always. Alright, so he's got poison. The main reason I gave him the poison gloves for the poison ability there was just because I figure someone gets shot. You know, it doesn't tend to do so well afterwards. So he's by far got the longest range here. Actually, just in general, there's a massive range advantage for the Seeds team, just for a lot of their abilities. Unfortunately, there is no, there's no stance you can set them to that'll tell them, you know, hey, maybe don't get that involved, like aside from just setting them to the rear, but unfortunately, that also comes with a bit of a problem that it kind of views where everybody is as a sort of bubble of sorts, I think. Because they'll still go forward if everybody's set to that same thing. So unless they go and they sacrifice a guy, in which case, as soon as that guy goes away, they'll just all start moving forward like, well, I guess there's no backline anymore, we might as well move forward. But yeah. So hopefully we won't run into a similar thing of as with last time, where somebody just decided to hide the entire time. Interesting. For some reason he's doing 0 with his additional hits. Oh, that's because he's got the MP removal gloves. So yeah, he punches into MP. There we go, there's that grenade ability that I was talking about. Petrifies some stuff. Because as I recall, it just straight up deleted some things. There's why I picked this thing as his gunblade. Because I figured, I figured it's basically a double reference. Because for one thing, for one thing, it kind of looks like the one that he uses. For another one, it's got that whole projectile look to it, because they had the little wobbly effects every now and then. And for another thing, it puts stuff to sleep, which is basically what happens in the intro. Like, I'm gonna smack you with this thing and just put you to sleep. Well, they basically hit each other. Like, oh, no, it was a tie. No, it wasn't. One clearly won. Like, oh, that guy's gonna charge up for 5 seconds to friggin' shoot a fireball thing at me. I'm just gonna stand here. Like, that would be the time to go for his hand or something, you know? Like, that's when you go forward. But well, what can you do? But yeah, no, absolutely adored both of the games that these two came from. They were actually the first ones that I started with. 10 was the first one that I actually got first. Wow, I'm gonna say first a billion times. So 10 was the first one I got. Pretty much had this whole thing where they had a raffle at my school. And, well, it wasn't exactly a raffle. It was, how do I put it? Kind of like a charity drive. Well, it was a donation drive. Let's put it that way. And basically, every year, they would have a marathon. And they would have a prize for whoever brought in the most money. And you would just go and you get pledges. And you'd go and, you know, just basically like friggin' 50 cents per lap or something like that. And so, you know, I wasn't super into it because I didn't really think I would get anywhere with it. And so, my mother, who was always a little bit ambitious, I guess we're gonna go ahead and say, like they were just a straight up lunatic as time went on, but either way, Like, oh, you know, gotta go win this thing, gotta go win this thing. So, end up going and, like, standing outside a church and collecting petitions all day. And finally she's like, oh, no, you're taking your violin, you're going and you're doing a performance and you're collecting petitions. I'm like, okay, fine. By the way, there's that burst ability I was talking about, and that second one, yeah, it does like 5-6 times more. No idea why. But, long story short, I ended up going for this thing, and they announced that one of the prizes is going to be a PS2. So, pretty excited about this thing all of a sudden. You know, I figured I would never get one, because it was one of these cases where, like, money was spent on everything that wasn't, there had to be, like, a logical justification for everything. Like, I kid you not, I ended up getting a Game Boy, well, like, a couple years after they became a thing, just because I was finally able to convince her that it was somehow educational. Like, I kept going and trying to find all these different articles, like, oh no, look, it's a smart thing, it's a good thing, it makes your kids learn. So, I kept doing that over and over. Until finally, just end up getting that thing one day. But anyway, so finally the day of this marathon comes, and like, I'm just sick to the point of just vomiting everywhere. Just like, my throat doesn't work, feel completely messed up. Go to the doctor, and turns out I have pneumonia, or yeah, whatever. Anyway, so you know, sucks. Figure I'm not gonna run. So. She's one of these sorts that's a health nut, and had a tendency to go running every day. Which is weird, because normally you'd think that a friggin' middle-aged, obese woman wouldn't be a health nut. But sure enough, they went running every day. No idea how no weight ever got lost, but whatever. So point being, you know, the teacher ends up asking the class, and they're like, okay, fine, whatever, how's this lady gonna outrun everyone? And that was probably the only time in, like, what later became my entire life, more or less, that I actually was like, wow, they did something legitimately awesome with no super negative consequences. Because almost every other time I was like, oh, they did a thing. Oh, wait, crap, look at all those people she screwed over in the process. I'm sure you've seen at least one person that did that, like, where for every positive thing they did, there were like 50 consequences that nobody knows how to deal with. So, okay, so, point being, they end up winning this thing pretty ridiculously. Oof, dang. Friggin', Titus is, doing surprisingly well over here. So they end up winning this thing, end up bringing it home, and it came with a gift card for 2 games. So I ended up picking up FF10, mostly because I didn't know anything about the Final Fantasy series whatsoever, but I ended up loving FFT. So, yeah, like, I'd basically grown up with Tactics Ogre, and then got FFT afterwards, and it was, actually, wait a second, no, I think I got FFT first, and then I got Tactics Ogre afterwards, the GBA one, I mean. So, so yeah, like, I was thinking it was going to be the same thing. Obviously not even remotely the same thing. But, oh well. You know, you live, you learn, you figure out that you're a dumb kid. So, yeah, you know what? I think this fight is going to come down entirely just... Alright, what trap was that? Is it going to be a healing one? Or I think they pick a trap at random. Yeah. No, it's going to be a weakened Lightiverse half health. Yeah. Awesome. So actually, no, I think Aurochs are winning this one. But okay. So, ended up picking up FF10, and I think, like, not Centipede. It was some, like, straight to the bargain bin platformer of some description. Well, oof, 25% kill right there. Yeah, I think they're gonna get it. Alright, so if anyone ends up hitting Irvine here, that dragon's basically done for. Awesome. But no, so I freaking loved FF10. It was a really unique setting for me. I'd never really seen anything quite like it. Oh, it was pretty awesome. Ended up I don't know, the sheer stupidity of the main character didn't really click until I went back and went through it years later. Like, I didn't really get why my brother was always laughing at it. And then finally I went back and I saw all the parts that I didn't see, because we were just kind of trading it off. And we did the same thing for Legends of Dragoon also. Just because we had one console, so we just, like, traded off whenever. It was pretty awesome. But yeah, we usually ended up just consulting each other, like, hey, do you know any of what happened? Like, no, I don't. Also, wait, what? Why did that dragon not take any hits? I gotta double check something. I think I might be mixing up the effect that ability has. The defense is dramatically reduced. A small amount of damage is taken is reflected back to its source. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yes, I completely misunderstood that one. Alright, so can Adia pull this back? With those damage numbers, unlikely. And I figured she would be doing a little bit more than that. But yeah, so years after the fact, ended up going back and, you know, not really going back, but well, I guess I did go back to FF10, and then had gotten this box that somebody had just forgotten. We were living on a moving truck at the time, and there was this box that somebody had forgotten of old games and stuff like that, and FF8 was in there, FF7 was in there twice for some reason. Let's see, like a couple of GTA games were in there. It was a pretty awesome find. But basically it's this thing of, like, if a box gets lost, you know, you basically can, like, as long as nobody claims it, you can just go and have it, because quite frankly, just random boxes get lost all the friggin' time. And it's not even a, you know, somebody's digging through there like, it would be a shame if this got lost. It was really more of a, you know, there's just so much crap going through so many locations that stuff's inevitably gonna get lost somewhere. And unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that people think that they're protecting really well by packing a different way from everything else just kind of makes it not really blend with everything else. It's weird. But... wait, what? Somebody's calling me... telemarketer. So. Yeah, point being, FFA was in there. And I mentioned this last time, really loved the beginning of it. Really did not love the, like, second half of that whole thing. Because they had such a cool setting, why did they need to get rid of it? I don't know, I feel like FF runs into that problem a lot. They're like, here's this cool setting, let's completely ignore that we have it and move on to something else. You know, as you do. Like, I think, I could be wrong on this, but I think 5 and FFT are the only ones I can think of that, well, actually I guess pre-5. Maybe it just started with 7, actually. He shot that guy. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure. I think it might have just been everything past 7. Where they had that unfortunate habit. Oh well. Oh well. I guess it never really got as crazy as it did for the 13 ones, though. That was that was a whole clustercluck of what the hell were they thinking. Ooh, there we go. Now we might see some stuff. There we go. Now you figured out how damage works. Took out your own guy, but I mean, I guess you got some damage in the process. Just, yeah, I think these guys have way too much healing to be able to keep up. This is one thing that definitely became clear for FF8's thing. They relied a lot on the GF system, and there was really no way to emulate that. Like, I gave them reflects, but realistically there's only so many ways you can edit it. I think they turned out pretty well alright. I mean, I know that they did end up winning against the Terranite team when I went and tested them, so they can't be that bad. Well, they hit their own guy, but they ended up taking out 2 of the others, I think. Oh, no? That's weird. I think they would have targeted Renault also. Now, what's the score looking like? Very one-sided, that's for sure. Let's see. Yep. Outrageously one-sided. They've lost Titus, and they've lost, what's-his-face? The friggin' wingling dealie. One with all the claws on it. They lost that thingy! And yeah, there you go, there's that telekinetic book situation. Wish. I'm sure you will. Not sure if that dog snoring like 5 feet away is coming through. He's just snoring super loud on the couch. Oh, he missed. I'm actually a little bit surprised that no one's gone for that dragon with his lower defense. Really what this team needs is... Oh no. Don't know what kind of trap that is, but it can't be a good thing. Oh, no wait, it actually is a good thing. Alright. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering why nobody's reviving anyone, A, even if there were revives, the AI does not know how to use them, and B, there actually are, well, there's very few options for actually reviving anything in One Vision. The general purpose revive stones have been changed into a thing that just evacuates somebody out of the fight. So they're basically just taken back to a medical tent or something. The upgraded ones are actually changed to an item that sacrifices the unit using it in order to bring the other guy back at half health. And there we go. That was a pretty clean sweep right there. We can try on the other map, but it would be about as open, so I'm gonna say that's very solidly for the FF10 side. So let me know if you want to see these two do anything else, and yeah, let me know if you want to see any other franchises remade in this. Alright, have a good one.